Hi, I'm Lincoln Petersen, and I'm going to be teaching how to play the basic game of Startropolis. First, you set up your control panel. You put the round track marker on one. This is a prototype, so I don't have all the final pieces yet. Then you separate out the Civic Center module cards from the rest of the module cards. You put them on the control panel where they go, right here. Everyone picks a color. Everyone gets 14 credits. Then everybody gets a quick reference sheet. Then you randomly distribute the player order cards to each of the players. And you set up the module cards on the construction track on the control panel. And now you're ready to begin the game. There are three phases to the game. There's the purchase phase, the attachment phase, and the revenue phase. First, let's talk about the purchase phase. In the purchase phase, you can do one of three things. You can take 5 million credits from the bank, you can purchase a Civic Center module, or you can purchase a module from the construction track. Now, when you're purchasing a module from the construction track, there are different ones you can purchase. There's some slots, and above the slots, there are rush fees. So, for instance, this Market Center module costs 7 million credits. So when you buy it, I would take it, pay 7 million credits to the bank, take the module that corresponds to it, right? This one's the yellow one. Then all these slide down, and you replace the empty spot with the new one. Now, if I was going to buy one down here with a rush fee, I would then also have to pay the rush fee. For the Civic Center modules, there's never a rush fee. You can always just buy one, and you buy that instead of one from the track or taking 5 million credits. And that is the purchase phase. Next, we're going to be going into the attachment phase. I won't be using these as examples because they're resin prototypes and they'll snap. These are just for looks, really. They'll break off and snap if I try to stick them in and attach them properly. So we're going to use the alpha prototypes, so to speak, and use those. Okay. So for the attachment phase, in reverse player order, so the person that purchased last attaches first, and then the third player, second player, first player, their player cards. The way you attach is you can attach to wherever there's a tab, you can put into a slot. But what you can't do is you can't build above the plane of a solar module. So if this was the space station currently, I could not build it like this. Well, I couldn't build it like this because it also touches. If it was like this, for instance, I guess, I couldn't do this because it breaks this plane of the solar module, and I can't do that. I could, however, if it, instead of being built like this, it was attached like this, I could do this, and that would be fine because it doesn't break the plane. You see that? And that's the attachment restrictions on these. The next attachment restriction is for the luxury modules. Only one type of module may be attached to each luxury module. So what that means is if I was going to attach a basic habitation module to this luxury module, I couldn't then go and attach another basic habitation module to it because you can only have one type of module. But I could attach another Civic Center module or something else to it because that's a different type from a basic habitation. Now, also during the attachment phase, you do not have to attach your module you bought during the purchase phase. You can save it and attach it on another round. But if you do that, the normal attachment goes, and then if you, in the player order, just last, third, second, first, and then if you have any extras, it then goes in player order again, last, third, second, first, for the second module, and so on and so forth if you had 5 modules, which you wouldn't win the game, but you could technically do that. When you attach, you keep track of how many attachments and how much revenue you get for your attachment on your module. I don't know if you can see that. Scott will put a picture up of it. And that's the attachment phase. Now we're going to talk about the revenue phase. So in the last phase, we attached, and based on our attachments to modules, we got connections, and we moved our trackers around on how many connections we had based on other people attaching to our modules and so forth. And now that all that has been calculated, we now get revenue based on our attachments. So starting with the first player, they calculate how much income they're getting from their modules. For instance, if I had a crew habitation module and a commercial module, so a crew habitation that had the maximum number of connections, and a commercial module, which only had 2 connections, I would be getting 13 million revenue. And then I would just track it, if I was green, over here on the revenue track, and then it would be second player, and then be third, and then last player. And then, based on whoever has the most revenue income, you redistribute. And the player that is the most revenue income is last. And then second is third, third is second, last is first. Because going first purchasing is good, and attaching last is also good, which is why you buy in player order, attach in reverse player order. And that is the revenue phase. Then the round tracker moves up, and you're ready to go into the whole next round. Do it all over again, purchase, attach, revenue phase again. And in the last round, the rush fees are half off. And after the last round, to determine the winner of Startropolis, it's the person with the most money. Not the person with the most revenue income, but the most money wins the game. All right, now we're going to talk about each individual module and how they work so that you can kind of get a grasp on. I've shown you how they all attach, how you get income and stuff like that. Now we're going to see how each module actually works and how you can maximize your income so you can win Startropolis. So first off, we have the luxury habitation module, which looks like this. They cost 7 million credits. They have 3 slots and 3 tabs, and they're distributed pretty evenly across. And the special rules for it is that you can only attach one type of module to it. So if there is a crew habitation attached to it, you can't attach another crew habitation, for instance. Now, note that the core module is a wild module, so it doesn't count as any of the others. It counts as its own separate type. So you could attach this and another crew hab or whatever, and it counts, okay? Now, for the luxury habitations, the more attachments, it starts at 7 million income, and it gets minus 1 million income for each attachment it has connected to it. Because it's a luxury habitation, you don't want people walking through your luxury apartment, basically, right? So you don't want people to attach to your module. You want it to be out on the far edge and then maybe attach a solar module to it so no one can build past it, okay? That's the luxury hab. High income, but you don't want people to attach to it. All right. Next is the crew habitation. It costs 5 million credits to buy, and it looks like this. These ones are what it looks like. Okay. And it gets more income based on the different types of connections attached to it. So for instance, if I had a crew habitation connected to a crew habitation, that would be 1 connection. If I had another crew habitation connected to it as well, that would still only be 1 connection. But if I attach a luxury, that would be 2 connections. And if you get up to the maximum amount, it gets pretty high. So it starts off at 1 million, and it goes up to 9 million if you have all the connections that are different types. So when other people get crew habitations, make sure that you attach the same connections to them, but you have different module types for you. Okay, next is the solar module. Solar module is one that breaks line of sight, or you can't break its line of sight, right? They cost, it only has one tab, so you have to stick it into a slot somewhere, and that's how it's going to be, and then you can't break that plane, right? And they cost 6 million. You can't build over it, and they gain revenue based on how many you have. It starts off at 2 million, and then plus 1 for each one you have. So really it starts at 3 million each. So this is 3 million revenue if I have 1. Then 2, they're each worth 4 million now. And now they're each worth 5 million. So they get to rack up real quickly if you have a bunch of them. And eventually you could have, you know, maxes 8 million for each one if I get all of them. I'm missing one. Here we go. Now I have 8 million for each. It's going to win you the game if you have all 6, but people are going to buy the solar module so that you can't, right? The other great thing about solar modules, you can put them onto your luxury modules, and then people can't do attachments onto your... they can't do stuff like this to attach your luxury module. So it's another way of denying other people access to attach to your precious luxury module that you want to make as much income as possible. All right, next is the supply module. The supply module is, here we go, these ones. They have one slot and one tab, and they're both on the same side, okay? And the way they work is they cost $5 million, and they're worth $3 million for one connection, and then plus $4 million if it's attached to another connection that is the same type as the first connection. So, for instance, if I had, I'll demonstrate with the alpha prototype here. I'll do it like this even. So, here, these are the same type of connection. They're both crew habitations. So that would give me the benefit of the $7 million for the supply module instead of just the $3 million for having one. So for instance, if I had it like this, this would only be $3 million even though they're both attached because it has to be the same type of module to get the big bonus. But lucky for you, this is a wild. So if I can find a, oh, I used the attachment there. Oh, this only has tabs, but that's okay because we can just flip it around, whoop, like this. And now, since the core module is a wild, it gives you the bigger bonus of having them both be the same type of module attached. So it's similar to a, or it's the opposite rather, of a crew hab where you want the same type, right? Next up is the Market Center module. The Market Center module looks like this. It has two tabs, two slots. It's a cross, and the way it works is you just want connections. You just want modules to connect to it. Doesn't matter what they are, what they're doing. You just want people to connect to your commercial module. And it starts off at 0 million, and it goes up to well, it starts at 2 million, right? Because you always have one connection because you attach it, right? And it goes up to 8 million. So it just linearly goes up there. You just want as many connections as possible. It's not as lucrative as the crew habitation, but it's easier to attach to. People are like, oh, it's just a commercial. It's not going to make him win if I attach to his commercial module, right? But if you do it to the crew habitation module, you know, that could be, you know, people think about that more, right? Next up is the Civic Center module. The Civic Center module costs $3 million. It has one slot, one tab. Looks like this, big L shape. Here's the tab, and the slot is right there. The way it works is you get revenue income based on your player card. So if you are the first player, you get $6 million income in revenue. Then if you're second player, you get $3 million. Third player, you get $1 million. If you're fourth player or last player, you get minus $3 million income. So if you're consistently ahead on the revenue track, you do not want to buy a government module. It is a catch-up mechanism. Okay. Remember, you redistribute player order cards after you get income. So first you get the income, then you redistribute. These are our basic modules for Startropolis, and join our crew on Kickstarter coming soon.